fucked up because we failed because of Jesus. Jesus stopped your favorite podcast.
Like the podcast was on Christmas Day.
Okay, so we broke the combo in November.
You know, technically, because it's a federal holiday, we weren't even allowed to work that day. That's how that works.
We weren't supposed to come in.
Quite frankly, that's a pretty decent 4-year combo for it to be broken for 1 week and then back into it.
It's like a Musso combo where it gets up to like 2 whatever.
The numbers don't even matter.
You don't care.
And then you drop it, and you're like,
quite frankly, it wasn't a drop; it was a reset.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Is that a Canadian combo?
Yeah, the Canadian reset is the
Canadian
term you're
reset,
for.
right.
Yeah, no. So all that is just straight up you let it rock, and then they flip out, and then you just resume the combo.
Flip out.
And that's how you get more damage, and you reset the damage scaling, guys.
Yeah.
We didn't miss a week. It was just a reset.
Yeah.
Now your damage scaling is high again.
Remember my favorite fighting game mechanic in MK4, which is just your combo stops now. What was it? Maximum damage?
Maximum damage.
We've never played MK4 on Fisticuffs, I don't think.
It's fucking bad.
I got MK Gold.
I can't tell when I've played MK4 because I've played so much of it. It was the one I played the most because it was the one I owned on the N64.
Oh, okay.
Like of N64 cartridges when I was remember those desperate years? Remember the years of the
always green.
The years of the struggle.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that.
Dying.
Gross.
I'll be real though. I do remember that, but it was by proxy. Because it was my buddy Steve always wanted to borrow my PlayStation. It's like, well, we'll swap consoles for a weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You haven't gotten a new game in 10 months.
Yeah, those were the desperate struggle years, and every
Travis touchdown.
Absolutely, everything.
I owned MK4 as well.
Anything that remotely looked like a fighting game got fucking purchased, and
that's why people ended up getting Hybrid Heaven,
Mischief Makers,
and all sorts of weird shit.
And there was a time when this weird guy was like
Tom and Jerry fighting game.
There's this weird guy that was like floating around our house for a while, and he brought over his
That's
copy.
called a stranger.
What and he actual fuck?
And he brought over his copy of MK4, and like that just kind of stuck.
Sorry, is
around.
there just this MK4 man?
I feel like you're focusing on the wrong part of this story.
And then we didn't buy MK4. We just had it after that.
Was it Ed Boon?
No. It was this dude.
So there was this strange man hanging around our house for a time and gave me MK4?
After long enough, he wasn't strange anymore.
I suppose that's true.
Yeah, but he had MK4.
You were lucky that MK4 was the only transaction.
Yeah.
The only interaction, rather.
And it was like, hey, this adult had brought an MK4. That was cool. We were happy with that, I guess. But, you know.
Maximum damage could be really awesome in real life, where, let's say you're eating too much, and then just the big logo appears on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
You're not allowed anymore.
Run to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like you're forced to.
Absolutely. There's nowhere else to go
because therefore your body wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys never had
maximum damage
games brought to you?
Oh. Not by strangers.
Adults that, quote, hang around the house for a while.
Yeah.
There were never any adults that hung around my house for a while other than, I don't know, my mom or dad or like grandma.
Like, are you saying there was
one
a
of those
neighborhood person?
No, I'm saying.
Are you saying this was a hobo?
One of those two figures you just listed
hobo.
was not around.
Okay.
So this brother from church would come hang around.
Couldn't you just say your mom's boyfriend?
Because that's not what it was, though.
Oh.
Because in this world of
because
Christian,
is this a Jesus
thing? You don't.
Are you serious?
You don't.
That's so stupid.
You don't. That doesn't work that way.
That's so stupid.
What are you talking about? It's tradition. That's not the way things work.
Why is there a churchgoer that's just like, yo, MK4?
Well, he was like, hey,
when did your mom stop caring? When did she stop looking?
Yeah. Well,
was that around?
Well,
then?
the problem was he was a little too cool for just being some church guy, right? Because he'd bring around MK4 and
that's pretty cool.
and other stuff, and it'd be like, you're not. that's okay. I'll take this, and we played that.
So is that why we've never played MK4 on the channel? Because you don't want to think about what it was distracting you from at the time?
No, it was more just along the lines of like,
here, kid, play this.
yeah, but again, like, there's no what boyfriend. That's not, you can't. That's not a thing. No, it was just
It was MK4 man.
Yeah, MK4 man just hung around.
Yeah.
You know, that was it.
That's fun.
And
this whole situation makes me feel very uncomfortable.
I mean, quite
Never
frankly,
thought me mentioning MK4 would launch into like this childhood thing.
do you know me?
Yeah.
Do you know
true.
me by now?
Yeah,
Is there not like
at least one or two games are inevitably linked.
Here's how busted this story is.
Go for it.
I got confused.
Yep.
Because I thought you were. This was. I got confused on but I thought it was a lady who hit herself in the bathroom and then the cops showed up.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's way later.
That's a different person.
And I'm like, but why would she have escaped from the mental hospital with a copy of MK4? That's what was in my mind.
Okay.
And then I'm like, no, that's stupid. That's clearly a different story.
Okay, so here's how you can piece together the timelines on that. That was way later because my reaction at the time
Woolie
to
had a
that,
hard life.
if you recall, was me super not giving a fuck.
I do remember that.
Getting way upset with my dumb family for being like, no, let's pray the situation until it works.
Yeah.
Let's pray
pray it away.
Pray the mental illness away type of thing.
Yeah.
And me being like, you need to get the fuck out of my house. Right? That was like college.
Yeah.
I'm out of this shit.
Whoa, that was... When you told me that story was how old?
That story was a handful of maybe year old.
Okay,
maybe two.
When you told me that story, I thought that story was like ancient history.
No. That was me like fucking done. So that's why I was being such a petulant ass about how insane the family was being with this crazy person that needed to go away.
Wasn't I there to meet this person once?
Never.
No, hold on. Wasn't I there to meet the person once? And they're like, hi. And I'm like, hi. And then that's it. And then I went home because I was playing games. And then like a week later, this event happened. Where she wouldn't
don't
leave.
think you guys ever met the person.
Oh, I didn't even know you at the time of this story.
Interaction.
No.
Something.
But yeah, that was way later after I was just done and tired.
Oh man, there's so many fun times.
But
in the Woolie
MK4
household.
man was way before we were even in that house. We were in like the small ass rinky fucking shit apartments.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we were up there and like those were again such a small apartment that it's like what like there's not like I'm telling you, like dude would just hang around. There was nothing else. What are you gonna No, like
I need someone to play MK4 with.
I'll trick these kids into playing MK4.
yeah, but there there was
That's honest. That's like an honest meme.
and then just this good old Christian hangouts, hanging around like him and mom would just hang out.
There's something at this
wholesome Christian hangouts.
Wholesome Christian.
Yeah, anything
Wholesome Christian MK4 memes.
No, just leave room for Jesus. There's no room in that small
He could
ass
be a playable
apartment.
character too.
No room in that small ass apartment for anything illicit.
What if you showed your mom Fight of Gods, the fighting game, and Jesus would it be like that's not cool?
I've answered
Or would
this
it be
question
like,
so many times.
I'm sorry. Did I
It
ask
doesn't
you
matter if you make a religious thing cool. It's still blasphemous because it's
Damn it.
not. It's
You were playing MK4, man.
No, he's talking about like,
I
well, what if
know,
it
I'm just saying,
would the church be cool with like cool angels being buff and being
because
heroes?
I don't
And
know
I'm
But
like,
it gets the kids interested.
It's not.
MK4 is just rife with dark demonic sorcery.
Oh, for sure.
How'd that get passed?
oh, because this dude was just like, yeah, whatever. He didn't give a fuck.
But good Christian.
Well, I mean, he like based on the fact that
Quan Chi shoots a chattering green skeleton.
he probably would have went for non-Christian hangouts if he could have, but that wasn't going to happen. So we got what we got, and I got MK4, and I learned about maximum damage, and
Those codes are great.
and that's why I've played a whole lot of MK4 compared to any other title.
That's fun.
And that's why I don't know if we've played it or not on the channel.
I begged and pleaded my parents, like, there's a guy down the street near the lake that's selling his N64 and a bunch of games. Please. It's super cheap. Because N64 was like $250 when it came out, and he was selling everything for $100.
Whoa, that's a steal.
It was like
All right.
5 games. And my parents were like, okay, but we're going to walk you down there because we don't want you to go talk to some strange man who lives by the lake.
Oh,
where you
boy.
could easily be drowned.
Literally down by the
But,
river.
like, is there an N64 around where I'm drowning?
Yeah.
There is? Okay, well, that's worth the risk. And then my parents walked me down. The guy was like come into the basement. And my parents are like, how about you bring the N64 up here? And he's like, well, you want to make sure it works. And they're like, how about you bring it up here? They're like, okay, no, we trust you that it works. He's like, oh, okay. And brings the N64 in a box. And he's like, yeah, you could come inside, though. And they're like, no, we're good.
Yeah.
And this is still in Lachine. This is still like where we live.
Yeah.
It's just a couple blocks south.
And I mean, the guy just really wanted to show you that it worked, and he's probably just a
He
fucking...
probably had tons of cool shit.
Probably
and
a huge weeb with some awesome posters.
Probably like
Probably
a
had a-
merry-go-round and some stuff
Or like
down
a
there.
C-3PO standee that I could have seen.
Absolutely, he had some bootleg Berserk fucking wall scrolls
No, he wouldn't. Wait, wall scrolls maybe.
from Chinatown, from the upstairs
This
store.
is like 97.
Oh, that's early. Yeah.
You know, I gotta say, well, this story that is ridiculous. Like every repeated insistence seems way more sketch as
What
fuck.
was your interaction with MK4 for the first time?
I played it at a friend's house, and he's like, "Look, I got a fighting game," and I went, "What the? This game sucks."
Boring.
And I remember, like, it was. It's my friend Steve, the guy who had the one guy I knew who had a fucking N64.
Okay.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go home and play Alpha."
Yeah, you fucker. That fucking...
Yeah, I'm sorry,
yeah,
I'm the one
yeah.
who really loved Street Fighter.
That... So that was my...
Woolie could play Alpha 2 on a Super Nintendo.
God damn
The
it.
best port.
And my fucking friend, man, he would go home and he'd have his PlayStation and he'd be like, yeah, he'd have his Alpha. And I'd just be like, no, my N64 is good enough. Like, we got good games. Super Nintendo
Not
got Alpha
fucking
2.
games.
Super Nintendo got Alpha 2 eventually.
Now, to be fair, the fact that Super Nintendo got Alpha 2 is, like, mind-blowing.
It's still amazing to me since Stop Skeletons and Fighting. I forgot they said Alpha 3 came out on the GBA.
Yeah, it did.
And had everything.
Double upper.
I get out.
It was double upper.
No. It was upper.
It was just
It was
Alpha
upper.
3, but it had the upper.
No.
But it had the upper content.
And I'll tell you why. It was not double upper. It was upper. Double upper is the follow-up to upper.
It wasn't actually called upper.
It was called upper.
I don't think so.
Super. I owned it.
No,
I'm telling you why.
Hold on.
Because it had Mackie. It had Yun.
No. It did. It did have that stuff, but I don't think it was called upper on the box. It just had the upper arrow, and it had the content. But for some reason, I don't think they called it upper.
I think they did.
Let's look it up.
All right.
It's the only way to solve it.
I'm pretty sure.
But Alpha 3...
Because double upper was like, oh fuck, it's upper part 2. I remember being excited about that.
But was it even called upper on any box? But it had the arrow that signified this was the upper
the
release.
only thing I can ever think of is that the PSP version is called double upper, like with text on the box.
Maybe.
And it's got a W to symbolize that for some reason.
Yeah, because W means twice.
That's double V.
But yeah, the fact that version had everything, like every character and the upper.
But it didn't have every character because
Who did not have?
It didn't. That's the thing. You see, double upper added more.
Even.
Right. Upper had all the
aside from Yun, Eagle, Mackie, who else?
Ingrid.
Well,
and the
I'm
modes.
talking about real characters.
I know, but literally that's what it was. That's the difference.
Okay.
And I'm talking about modes because I was way in on these fucking ports. Upper. Well, it just said right here when I was looking at this.
Go to versions.
Well, look under the title of Street Fighter 03 Upper in Japan in 2001.
I just mean search for the Alpha 3 GBA box art. That's all I'm. That's the only distinction.
Alpha 3
I'm talking
box art
about.
on the PS1 and Dreamcast was fucking awesome. It's got that good art of Zangief going around.
Yeah.
It just said okay.
I'm gonna bite you.
So
But
it was just
upper.
It was listed. It was just listed then as upper. Yeah. And
anyone that doesn't give a shit about alphas screaming at us.
Who doesn't give a shit about Alpha?
I don't know,
Great.
weirdos.
But it was so what ended up happening too was like they brought in Ingrid and they brought in all those extra modes and crazy shit.
Modes, yeah.
But it was absolutely that was the port that blew my mind because like not only is this a good port by I want to say it was Crawfish.
Yeah,
right.
It was.
Because they made a Street Fighter Alpha 1 port for the GB.
Was Street Fighter Alpha what?
Street Fighter Alpha Warriors Dreams for the Game Boy Color.
Yes.
And it was fucking bad.
It was good. To be ported there, it was good.
I mean, all right.
You know the sad story behind
but the
this?
quality, the difference between that and what we got with Upper.
It's a Game Boy Color, man.
I know, but
it's shockingly
But the
good.
fucking GBA version was like blew everything out of the water.
That's not fair.
The GBA is like a quantum leap over the Game Boy Color.
I think
it's more than a generation.
But like the recreations of the sprites and like it really struggled. But
you know a really sad story behind this? That Capcom was really impressed with their port work on Alpha 1 for the Game Boy Color. And they're like, make Alpha 3 on the GBA now. We want it out for launch of the GBA. But Capcom, for the reason, also put out Revival for the GBA at launch too.
Yep.
Growlfish were not able to get it for that milestone done. Mm-hmm. So it was delayed like a couple of months, and Capcom did not like that. Refused to pay them the royalties because they didn't get it under the time limit.
Oh.
They were forced to close a year later.
That's fucked up.
And they're like, this game sunk our company, but it was our best thing that we've ever done.
That's fucked up because it was a really good port.
That would be fun. I could understand Capcom being pissed if there were no Street Fighter game on the GBA at launch, but there was. Revival came out in that year.
And Turbo Revival is like one of the best versions
that
of ST.
reminds me of the fucking article or story. I forget where it came from. I was watching it yesterday of like the prequel to Splatoon that was made by High Voltage.
Yeah.
They got fucking killed.
Right. So I saw that video and it was called the Splatoon prequel Killed by Leaks, but I didn't watch it.
So I'll give you a really short version. Nintendo wanted a water gun based first person shooter for the Wii U and said, "Hey, High Voltage, you guys love the Wii. You want to make one?" And they have a bunch of concept art and all that shit of like a Mega Man style Splatoon. And then some guy who worked at High Voltage, who was fucking pissed off at his salary or something, just went to a Nintendo website and started leaking all sorts of crazy shit like 2 months into the project.
Oh, God.
And Nintendo goes, "You shut that fucking shit down or you're done." And they couldn't figure out who the guy was.
Oh, shit.
And they refused to just fire somebody and say that it was that person.
Wow.
So Nintendo's like, okay,
wow,
done with that shit. And then took some of those ideas of a water gun shooter and then gave them to their own internal studio that they knew wouldn't leak. And then eventually Splatoon showed up.
And that's why we'll never get the Conduit 3.
That's like the best possible outcome because like that's the
worst part of the story.
If a water gun like thing replaced what Splatoon has become to be, like I'm sorry, High Voltage.
Yeah,
it was about water guns shooting robots, and the robots would go right.
Yeah. But it's still not the timeline where everyone can see the High Voltage intro with the kid playing
still haven't seen
on the thing that looks like a Dreamcast.
You need to tell me the game.
I don't know if it's in any of them because it
has to have been
because
an old game.
Harvey Birdman and the other fucking one that came out at the same time.
Yeah, that game.
That they had those games had the intro in them, and then the builds got fucking flagged and they were pulled out. So I don't think it has that. Yeah. But fucking High Voltage Entertainment. Well, we're going so inside. There was a really cool intro back in the day that we talked about a couple times on the podcast over the years. But
I think in videos too.
In videos too, yeah.